again, boys, for a brand new video. And today, this is the mid-season Formula 1 breakdown. If you guys don't know, lately I have been streaming Formula 1 and it has gone quite successfully. Those people that join my streams know how successful Formula 1 has been within the recent past. We're now in the season break, meaning it's now starting to become that factor of what do the drivers do over this mid-season break, which I'm going to be talking about in this video, and my opinions on who I think is possibly going to win this championship, because I haven't got a chance to sit down and talk about this Formula 1 season so far, and it's been crazy. So to start off the season, we saw McLaren actually throughout this season. It's been McLaren. It's been all about McLaren, and their absolute domination. I'm sorry, outside there's plovers outside. I don't know why, but they're being really annoying. But yeah, so the Formula 1 season, really in breakdown, it's been McLaren. It has really been all about McLaren. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and I like what McLaren's doing with their drivers here, because they're really making their drivers think about their own strategy here. But there's, in different sports, if you have teammates battling, the team chooses when to box. But with McLaren, it's different. You know, it's different in that way. You know, they're letting their drivers choose, which is making it interesting for the championship in itself. So yeah, that's what's making it interesting here. But see, so far the season, the 2025 Formula 1 season has gone absolutely epically. And it started off at Australia with Oscar Piastri absolutely dominating Australia. Not really when we saw Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. They made contact. Oscar Piastri went off the road at turn 14 and nearly got bogged in the grass, because of course we saw that race was wet, and the Formula 3 and Formula 2 got cancelled. Luckily, the V8 supercars didn't get cancelled. Their race didn't get cancelled, but it did get delayed. So we saw the support races before that was extremely wet. Formula 1, the track dried up. So, but yeah, it was extremely wet. We saw that with Oscar Piastri, who got bogged in the grass at turn 14. Luckily, he was able to get out, but didn't get the best result. But yeah, McLaren's Oscar Piastri is leading the World Drivers' Championship. With the season beginning in Melbourne with Lando Norris winning the Australian Grand Prix. I reckon that race would have gone the way of Oscar Piastri if there was a few things that went his way. If the off moment went his way, I guess I don't think there was any safety cars within that race. Several teams and drivers have already made headlines with strong performances and unexpected results. But I can't, off my top of my head, you guys will have to tell me, but I don't think there was any safety cars within the first race at Australia, which I guess that made it quite interesting as well. And then as the season progressed, we saw, again, McLaren, they just got quicker and quicker, which made it just that little bit more interesting. We then saw what was it? It was China. So, and then in China, we saw Oscar Piastri, once again, man, Oscar Piastri, you just can't seem to be stopped. It was McLaren with Lando Norris in Australia. We then go to China, and that race was just utterly, completely dominated with Oscar Piastri. But we did see a shock winner within that one. We saw Lewis Hamilton win that race. We saw Lewis Hamilton win the sprint, which was quite surprising. And then Lando Norris in second, followed by George Russell, Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc, the top five. But a very, very, very much a bit of a struggle for people like we saw who DNF'd out of that race. But the big names were up there: Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, George Russell, Max Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, all that sort of stuff. Were up there, and Kimi Antonelli was also up there as well. So big points for him. Today's Grand Prix, and it's when it completely changed. It almost like Red Bull had a shot of pace. Max Verstappen, Grand Prix in Japan, with Lando Norris running out only 1.5 seconds back, so it shows Red Bull doesn't have the pace. But I guess that race was more or less a pace race, you know. That race it came down to Max. He was just too quick. He was quick, that race. But that would change. That would very much change. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri on the podium as well. We then went to Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix. I commentated this one. It was Oscar Piastri who won the race over George Russell, which was his best result so far this season. Over Lando Norris, which was at that point his worst result in the season. Over Charles Leclerc, then Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, so the Alpines scored their first points. Esteban Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, who ended up moving to Red Bull, with then Oliver Bearman in P10. Now, the only advantage that these cars got, these drivers, or for example, the only advantage that these drivers got compared to other races was the fact that they had pre-season testing here, so they could go off a bit of data from pre-season testing, and they did a lot of the race runs, so yeah, they were more or less prepared for this one. Arabian Grand Prix, which was once again topped by Oscar Piastri. He's a big name in this championship, as you can probably already see. Oscar Piastri over Max Verstappen in P2, followed by Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, George Russell, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, which is his best result so far this season. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, it was once again very dominant from Oscar Piastri. He led from lights out to the flag at the finish. But yeah, that's when this championship sort of, it's starting to turn on its head. We're starting to see McLaren are starting to become a bit quicker with their pace. The only other winner in this championship so far is Max Verstappen. So we noticed it was like, oh, this is going to be a battle between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen at this point, because they're first and second. You know, Verstappen's been up there. Not that we knew this championship would go very much downhill for Max Verstappen, and even for Yuki Tsunoda. We then head to the Miami Grand Prix, which it was mixed conditions. Oscar Piastri won that race. It was over Lando Norris, George Russell, Max Verstappen in P4. He's scoring consistent points, so is Lando Norris. It's a top 3 battle between those three. It's very tight in the championship at this point. Kimi Antonelli finished P6. That would very much change at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix when he would have an engine failure, who dropped him right back down the back of the field. Yuki Tsunoda scored points along with Alex Albon, which was a big name up there in P5, and Max Verstappen won the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 6.1 seconds, the most dominatable race so far for Red Bull, but that would once again drop off, because when we head to the Monaco Grand Prix, it was Lando Norris. Lando Norris topped the Monaco Grand Prix over the hometown hero Charles Leclerc, 3.1 seconds back over Oscar Piastri. So that was Oscar's so far worst performance in the season over Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton, Isaac Hadjar, which is his best performance so far this season, over Esteban Ocon, Liam Lawson, Alex Albon, and Carlos Sainz. Also another really good performance there as well. Andrea Kimi Antonelli finished P18 in that one, with Nico Hülkenberg finishing P16. The Spanish Grand Prix went the way of Oscar Piastri once again. Over there, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Nico Hülkenberg, his best finish this season, ever so close to a podium, just not there. He was 3 seconds off the podium, so that's a really good performance there from Nico, and something maybe we're starting to see a pick up of pace now for those kick Saubers. Max Verstappen, though, his worst performance so far. The Alpines once again scoring points, and Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso scoring the second points of the season for Aston Martin. Lance Stroll DNFing along with Alex Albon and Andrea Kimi Antonelli once again DNFing out of the Spanish Grand Prix. The Canadian Grand Prix went the way of George Russell, his first win of the season over Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli. So Mercedes scored some good points that weekend with a huge points score, 40 points. But this was a controversial race because a big name, Oscar Piastri, his worst performance so far. And with Lando Norris out of the Canadian Grand Prix, the two McLarens come together just when you thought this championship was starting to spice up. They come together, they make contact down in turn 1, and sadly I wasn't able to commentate that race. It was so sad I couldn't do it. It was actually a good race. The Austrian Grand Prix, the two McLarens, they come back, they're fierce, they're fighting. Both of them want revenge for what happened last time. Lando Norris wins the Austrian Grand Prix over Oscar Piastri. And it finished 2.6 seconds. At one point, they went side by side. We thought they were going to make contact. I think they went side by side many times in that Grand Prix, with Nico Hülkenberg scoring more points for Kick Sauber, on with Gabriel Bortoleto. So huge point score of 6 for Kick Sauber. Max Verstappen DNF'd out of that race with contact on that first lap with Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Carlos Sainz also out of this race as well. Fernando Alonso scoring more points as well for Aston Martin, with Liam Lawson scoring points as well. The British Grand Prix, what a race this went down to. It was Lando Norris winning his home Grand Prix over Oscar Piastri, and Nico Hülkenberg finally scored points. He got a podium. He got a podium in the British Grand Prix. Big points, but 28 seconds off the back of those two McLarens over Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in P5. You notice Verstappen has not won a race so far this season. The pace dropped off all of a sudden for Red Bull. George Russell scored points as well. It was only 1. Leclerc finishing P14. Andrea Kimi Antonelli finishing P16. And Gabriel Bortoleto. So Kimi Antonelli, he's really been struggling the last 3 rounds with 3 DNFs in a row. Belgian Grand Prix, we had Oscar Piastri. It was a sprint weekend. And it was Oscar Piastri who took both races. Actually, sorry, it was Lando Norris who took the sprint, and it was Oscar Piastri who took the main race. So you can see it's a bit of a pattern. The pattern's forming. The pattern is forming. We're seeing the pattern. We're seeing McLaren. They're showing their pace here, and they've really shown it so far this season. Here, but yeah, Oscar Piastri, he's won most races so far this season, as we probably couldn't tell. Leclerc finishing P3, Verstappen for P4, George Russell P5, Alex Albon P6, Liam Lawson scoring more points, Gabriel Bortoleto scoring points for Kick Sauber, with Nico Hülkenberg finishing P12, and Isaac Hadjar the only retirement out of this race, with Kimi Antonelli not retiring out of this one. He's P16, Stroll P14. Yeah, that's how the Belgian Grand Prix went. We head on to the final round before the summer break, and it was a tight one. First one in a while. Lando Norris won this one by 0.6. The two McLarens, it was a bit of a strategy race. It was a bit of a strategy race between these two McLarens, probably the most strategic ones so far. With the two McLaren that, it was between Lando and Oscar, of course, and it was just a matter of who boxed first. It was Lando who stayed out, and Oscar was catching him, and Oscar took the risky chance of box, nearly 20 seconds back, and caught him, and dropped that margin back to 6.6, but wasn't able to catch, wasn't able to overtake him in that instance. Yeah, Lando Norris, he comes in to this round. He goes into the next round. The Drivers' Championship looks like this. So that's how the Drivers' Championship looks like. It is Oscar Piastri leading the championship. Shock horror. He's leading it by 9 points heading into this season. Oscar Piastri with 6 wins. Lando with 5. It's 1 win separating them. So this is going to be interesting. The back half of the season is going to get spicy indeed. McLaren are just absolutely stonking this field at the moment. Nearly 300 points, that margin. McLaren have practically won it at this point. Ferrari and Mercedes at P2 and P3, but Red Bull, their recent performances have dropped them back down to 4th, with Williams in P5. So that's sort of the way that the Drivers and the Constructors' Championship is going. But Oscar Piastri, after first half of the season, leads this championship by less than 9 points. We've got an interesting back half of the season If you guys want to catch all the Formula 1 action, head over our streams, or you can watch it on Sky Sports or wherever you are in the world. So you can probably catch my streams, and you guys can come say hi, give me your opinions on the Formula 1 season. But it is Oscar Piastri who is leading this Drivers' Championship by less than 9 points. The next round for the Formula 1 season, is from the 29th to the 31st, which is the Dutch Grand Prix. The home race for Max Verstappen. Can he pull something out of the bag, finally, for Red Bull? But it is Oscar Piastri versus Lando Norris for the back end of the season. Let's see what happens. Will this battle brew even bigger? If you guys did enjoy it, hit like button, subscribe, and come catch some of my streams for the Formula 1 Grand Prix. Until then, I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.